And we welcome you to Ottawa Sports Now and the OSN pregame show. Lieber Sage, Tanner Ryle, Sens Insider with you as the Ottawa Senators play their last game before the Olympic break in Philadelphia against the Flyers. And Tanner, we start off with some news. How are you?
Pretty good, Lee. Just got back from the shoot job a couple of minutes ago, but
Right.
ready to come in here and talk Sens. Yeah, like you said, some unfortunate news coming down. I caught it on the radio during my drive home.
Mm-hmm.
Not what you want to hear if you're a Sens fan going into this game. Not, of course, that Linus Ullmark will not be playing tonight. He has flu-like symptoms. So Hunter Shepard has been recalled to back up James Rammer.
Not ideal.
No.
Would be the best kind of positive way to put it. The Philly flu strikes again, and you're probably way too young. You're gonna have to go ask your dad or your grandparents or somebody about what the Philly flu means in the National Hockey League. But I know you don't know, so we'll educate you and a lot of others. Back, I'm sure you've heard of the Philadelphia Flyers in the 70s, the Broad Street Bullies. And they were a very, very tough team. I mean, you might win, but you're going to get beaten up, and you're going to get beaten up bad in Philadelphia. And there were many, and I mean many, players that, you know what? I'm just not feeling good enough here, coach. And the Philly flu. The Philadelphia Flyers won a lot of games because funny how a lot of people were out of the lineup in the late 70s and early 80s with guys like Dave Schultz and, I mean, just so many guys on the team that they weren't even that good. They were just fighters. And so it was not easy for people in the Philly flu, but that's unfortunate for Linus Ullmark. And again, you don't want to judge. I mean, if he's really feeling under the weather, he probably doesn't give his team the best chance to win. If he's really feeling bad, you'd have to think that he would want to be in the net tonight. But I also look at it as a teammate. And I'm like, really? Like, you were just gone for all this time and our season kind of went in the tank, and now you're back and now you can't play. And quite honestly, this is easy to say it's the biggest game of the year. They lose tonight, I think it's over. I believe that.
I do too. Must-win game. I don't think there's any burying the lead there. The Senators have to win this game if they want a chance of coming back into the playoffs. They lose it, it's over.
They are currently 8 points back of the Boston Bruins, who sit in the second wild card. How about Boston's week? And can't get a break here against Tampa or Florida. But Boston sits in that second wild card spot with 69 points. As we currently go into the game, Columbus with 65. They're only 2 back of the Islanders in the Metro, but they're the first team outside of the playoffs. Then you have the Leafs and the Washington Capitals at 63. You have Florida and Ottawa at 61. But you have Philadelphia that's got a game in hand. This Flyers team would leapfrog over the Ottawa Senators tonight to give Ottawa just another team that they would have to go past. And if you're 8 points out of a playoff spot, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that they would have to leap over to try to get into the playoffs. They would have 25 games to go, a total of 50 points, and they would have to be, 9 points better than the Boston Bruins and have everybody else be worse than the Boston Bruins. And it's just something you don't really see happening. So tonight's game is just an incredibly important game. Plus, like always, and this week has been like this, hasn't it? Who's in action? Oh, the Penguins are at Buffalo. The Islanders are at the Devils. That's not as big for Ottawa, but certainly their game in Philadelphia. Washington's hosting Nashville. Florida's in Tampa tonight. So lots of teams around the Ottawa Senators are in action with the possibility of getting more points and making it that much more difficult. And I just want to point out, like, I know Columbus was a little bit behind Ottawa, not much, but the Columbus Blue Jackets right now have only lost one game in regulation in their last 12 games.
To the Senators.
What's that?
To the Ottawa Senators.
Well, yes, that's 4-1 victory for the Ottawa Senators, but that's the only game they've lost in regulation in their last 12 games, and they are not in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think it's like we've been saying, like, sure, you win tonight, you're still maybe in the hunt, but it's still going to take a miraculous winning streak or run to get into the playoffs.
And to do it without Linus Ullmark and have to do it on the back of James Reimer again, who really doesn't have a lot of help behind him. Like, if Reimer's no good early in this must-win game, you'd like the ability to change goalies. If your goalie doesn't have it, it's probably a quick pull. But now you have Hunter Shepard back there, and what are you doing with Hunter Shepard? Are you really
if he's
pulling
even
Reimer?
Arrived at the arena yet? Like, this was a very last-minute thing. Shepard might still be on a plane right now.
Yeah, into Philly.
Well, he's probably landed by now, but like, he's not. He wasn't expecting to be dressing tonight.
Yeah, I doubt he had to take a plane. My guess is that even if they were...
Depends where the Sens played last night, I guess.
And even if they were in Binghamton, or Binghamton, Belleville.
It's been a while there, Lee.
Yeah, the Sens. But even if they were in Belleville, you're probably looking at a just as long of a period of time to get from Belleville to an airport to fly into Philly. Not a lot of direct flights, I wouldn't think. Like in Toronto.
They played in Rochester last night, so that probably works in their favor a little bit.
Well, if they knew last night, but they would have come home from Rochester.
Possibly, yeah, unless they're on the road again. This is where we need our Belleville Sens guy in the chat. I don't know where they're playing. Where's Z Given?
Yeah, well, there is this thing called the interweb that lets us know these things.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
But the point being is that whether he's taking a car, I don't think he'd be taking a plane.
They're playing Syracuse tomorrow. So
okay, so they probably
in New York State.
Yeah, so the drive from Syracuse to Philly is probably only 3.5 hours. 4-hour drive. So you wouldn't be taking a plane. It would actually take
I wonder when he got the call, because we only found out.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I'm guessing they would have had I guess they would have had to make the call sometime this afternoon after his nap. So you're right. He's probably on his way right now.
With puck drop in a little over half an hour.
The good news about Philly is that for anyone who has been to Philadelphia, they have it right. Like, they have it perfectly done as far as the main highway. I believe it's 95 that goes right by all of the rink, the baseball field, the football field, they're all in the same place.
I've heard that.
Like, they're all in this massive area, which is right at the end of the subway line as well. So if you're in the city, you get on the subway and it takes you, 3 or 4 kilometers, whatever it is, down and it's the last stop and everyone gets off. And if you're driving, it's where like the highway goes right by it. It's just a really easy, it would be like Ottawa having all these teams and everything being out in Canada, except there was like a zillion ways from Ottawa to actually get to Canada. Like, the LRT and the subway and like all kinds of things that would be there. But you're right, Hunter Shepard's probably in a car on the way or just getting to the rink now, and it puts a lot of pressure on James Reimer, who I'm going to guess didn't think he was going to play. Didn't play particularly well in the last game. In fact, was part of the reason why they lost. And again, Tanner, we talked about it on the post-game show. This is overtime on Tuesday night. The Ottawa Senators played really well. They have been playing well, but they played really well on Tuesday. And what they didn't do well was, number one, stop the puck, and then number two, change lines at the end. And everyone wants to blame Jordan Spence. And I get it. He's an easy guy to pick on. But, man, there's a lot of fault on that play between Ridley Gregg and Dylan Cousins and not getting the puck in, and why everyone went over and changed. I don't know, but it's mind-blowing that they had another line change that cost them another hockey game when they played well. So we're going to see how resilient they are. Philadelphia, like I've been saying all week, but for those who haven't heard, Philadelphia has had their last 3 games at home, including tonight. They played Saturday at 12:30 in the afternoon. So
you totally cut out and started buffering right there.
Oh, yeah?
You're back, but might be something to
I'm back.
monitor.
That's the important part.
8 seconds, but yeah. Your camera's been freezing a little bit.
I was saying something really important. Why would you do that?
Nobody heard it. You better say it again.
Oh, there you go. So Philadelphia, for the last week, has been at home. They played 12:30 Saturday. They lost that game, but they were done, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they only played Tuesday night at home. And then they're home tonight. So it's for the 4th game in 6 days in 4 different cities for the Ottawa Senators, with their backup goalie maybe not even at the rink yet. Not going to be easy. Just going to make sure that the lag isn't going to happen again, Tanner, for 1 sec.
Okay. Thanks for mentioning that in the chat. Yeah, I noticed it on my end, but it's coming through on YouTube as well. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen again. Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you're a mega lag, Ethan. Okay? Don't call me names on this. You're a mega lag.
Oh, you really got him with that one. But I mean, looking at the schedule, even outside of tonight, like, you don't want to see Reimer other than back-to-backs at this point. Like, if this team wants to crawl back into it, it's Linus Ullmark. That's your guy. I'm seeing the next back-to-back. The next time you would probably ideally want to see Reimer is there's no back-to-back in February because they've got the 2 games there.
Yeah.
Their next back-to-back would be March 14th and 15th, where they are home at the Canadian Tire Center, hosting the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah, but the point there is that if they're close to being in it, Linus Ullmark's going to play anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
and then you got another one the week after, the Rangers and the Red Wings. And I think there's maybe 2 more on the schedule. So
yeah, I would
consecutive weekends, the 4th, 5th, 11th, and 12th of April.
Yeah. But I would doubt very seriously that if they were in contention in that spot, then Linus Ullmark's probably going anyway.
So ideally, Reimer maybe has 3 more games as an Ottawa Senator.
And tonight was not one of them.
No.
So we're going to see the resilience here from the Ottawa Senators because they have been playing well, but it was a real tough loss on Tuesday to not get any points when they played like they should have. And now this is going to make it even more difficult. And I know there's people like, oh, Philly's not that good. I get it. They're not that good. But they won their last game. And if they have any desire to get back up in it, beating another lowly team in the Ottawa Senators at home so they can get to 62 points tonight and be 7 back, it's pretty much a must win for them too. Like they're 9 back right now.
Yeah, and this team, say what you will, they look pretty underwhelming on paper, but Rick Tocchet is going to get a lot of wins out of this team, a lot more than they probably should. And I know there's a lot of drama going around in that market right now. Even as someone who doesn't watch the Philadelphia Flyers day to day, we hear a lot about what's going on with Michkov and Tocchet. I'm looking at their projected lines tonight. He's on their third line with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink. You know who's slotted above him? You've got Nikita Grabenkin, who was that fourth line sweetheart that was on the Leafs last year.
Yeah.
That they traded in the Scott Laughton deal. And Denver Barkey, who, forgive me, I've never heard of this human being before.
Denver Barkey. It's a great name.
But those are the left wingers that are slotted above Matvei Michkov.
Right.
You know, top line of Grabenkin, Christian Dvorak, and Travis Konechny. Great player. Christian Dvorak's not a number one center.
At all.
Their captain, Sean Couturier, he's on the fourth line. You know, Zegras has had a nice year as well. He's playing on the second line, but on paper, not a super impressive team.
No.
The back end, again, you got Samheim, Ristolainen, York, Drysdale, Sealer, Noah Juleson. I take the Senators over that. Dan Vladar, projected to start in goal. Started off really hot, but hasn't been the same quite since. But still, you've got that Rick Tocchet effect. Like, he's going to pull this team into it.
And we'll see, because obviously after the game, this is the last night of National Hockey League action before the Olympics. So how many teams have guys that are just looking to go on vacation and they're ready to go on vacation and they're going to put in, you know, they're going to work tonight, but they don't really have it.
Yeah, I'm sure there might even be some players that are flying directly out of Philadelphia.
Right.
This is done tonight.
100%.
Whether it's for their vacations or you never know, maybe Sanderson and Kachuk are going to Milan when the night's over. You never know. But I'm curious to see, do we see any flybys? I'm not just talking about the Senators tonight, but
no, this is every team that's playing tonight in the NHL.
Right.
Some guys are going to the Olympics, and most guys are going on vacation or home to their families, and they're looking forward to it with a nice break. So how engaged can you possibly be this evening?
Yeah. So you think we're going to see some flybys, maybe some lower hitting numbers, less jump out of some players? Be interesting.
Well, what I would expect is that if one of the teams gets out to a lead tonight, like a 2-goal lead or a 3-goal lead, it's almost all but done. Like the other team's not. But with the ability to feel good going into the break, if Ottawa wins tonight, they'll have won 5 of 6 and probably deserve points in that 6th game against Carolina. So they're probably going to feel decent if they're able to win tonight. But man, if they're not, all of a sudden that's 4 points that they've dropped this week. They're going to be looking 8 points out of a playoff spot. They'll have 6 teams ahead of them. And it really isn't looking great. What about the lineup here for Ottawa? Looks pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think aside from the change in goal with Reimer coming in, he played the last game too, so it's not even a change. So again, Nick Jensen playing over Matt and Paolo. I think I saw today that Matt and Paolo has played 2 games in the year 2026, which is crazy to me with how noticeably bad Nick Jensen has been.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can really defend that personally, but looks to be what's happening again tonight.
It's just a veteran coach going with a veteran guy. Like it's just wanting to go with a veteran guy.
Right, but because even then, Matt and Paolo won out against Hamonic last season.
Yeah. Oh, listen, I don't disagree. I'm just saying when you look on the ice and Jordan Spence is making a bonehead decision with a whole bunch of other players that were making bonehead decisions, and it costs you a hockey game, you wouldn't expect a guy like Jensen. If Jensen was in that spot on Spence, he wouldn't have changed. He wouldn't have. So that's probably the reason why he's going with him, rightly or wrongly.
Right. So, yeah, lines are unchanged for those who forget. You got Stutzla with Batherson and Giroux. Cousins is between Kachuk and Greg. Pinto between Porcas and Michael Amadio. Lars Eller with Halliday and Zetterland. On the back end, it's Sanderson and Zub, Shabbat and Jensen, Clevin and Spence. Reimer starts. Hunter Shepard backs up.
Ethan says, just saying, most people who talked about all the teams not in the playoff spot, they almost all said Ottawa is most likely to go on a run. Well, I don't know who most people are. All I know is that Ottawa, if they lose tonight and they're 8 points back and have to climb over 6 teams to make the playoffs. Good question, though. Who's poor cuz?
The other Cousins.
I think we know it's not Dylan, but Nick's been playing pretty well.
He has, yeah. He absolutely has. They both have, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cousins connection.
Let's go a little bit around the NHL because there has been some news. First of all, what'd you make of the Artemi Panarin deal to the LA Kings? You were saying that he would be the one guy to watch before that soft deadline trade freeze, and he ends up going to LA.
Yeah, almost didn't happen there, eh? They came right down to the wire. I didn't see it until about 3:01, 3:02, and it was an NFL reporter that broke it, which was pretty crazy.
Schefter.
Yeah. I was like, who's Schefter? Everyone's like, oh, that's the Elliot Friedman of the NFL.
It is.
Like, okay. But yeah, big move for LA there. I'm a little surprised at the return, but I think when you factor in the no movement clause, that kind of puts that into perspective a little bit. It sounds like he only really wanted to go to LA, but like Liam Greentree isn't exactly a blue chip prospect, lower end pick that has the opportunity to become a little bit more if LA does well in the playoffs. So for New York, I don't love it, but I don't know if it's just another nail in what should be the end of Chris Drury's tenure as a GM. But knowing that regime, they're probably just going to extend him anyways. For LA, though, I love this. That's a great move for them. They need more goals. And it's Kopitar's last year. Why not go for it? Like,
what about
Aaron's probably the most talented player he'll ever get to play with.
What about the 2-year, $22 million extension?
That also surprised me because it sounds like other teams were willing to go there, but he wanted LA, and that's what LA wanted to do. And I think it's a smart move for them. It gives them a little bit of flexibility. Because in 2 years, I don't think LA's a contender necessarily. So if they need to move him, they can.
Yeah, it's amazing to say 11's not crazy. But in a year or two, is 11 crazy for that guy? Maybe not. No. Cap going up. The Tampa Bay Lightning getting bit hard by the injury bug, and specifically with a couple of guys in the Olympics. First, it was Anthony Cirelli being replaced by Sam Bennett, and now Braden Point cannot go to the Olympics. And the guy who we just saw, Seth Jarvis, gets the call. Do you like this move for Canada?
I do. I think there's a few guys you could have considered here. Looking at like Zach Hyman, Mark Scheifele, Connor Bedard would probably be the other ones that would come to mind. But I think Seth Jarvis is a really good choice. We saw just how skilled he was the other night. I think he's a great plug-and-play player on a bottom-six role. He made the Four Nations team last year. Wasn't exactly a standout, but I think he played pretty well. So I'm not overly surprised by Seth Jarvis. I think it's a fine choice for Canada. Ideally, he's probably not even going to get into the lineup in most of the games anyways, but yeah, I like it.
The one name that you mentioned there in Zach Hyman, I think it's really hard to judge Zach Hyman when he's not playing in Edmonton. Like, he's been unbelievable, and all he does is score goals. But you just, it would be a difficult thing to be able to remove him from that. And what are you going to do? You're going to play him with McDavid? Like
Yeah,
at,
I
at,
can't see
at the
that.
Olympics? Probably not. So then he just becomes a difficult person to evaluate, I guess is my point on
I
that.
was a little bit surprised they went with a winger, though. Losing a center like Point. That's where I
Mhm.
thought maybe a Shifley would become the
Yep.
number one choice, but I do get it with Jarvis. I mean, he was there for the Four Nations last year with these guys.
He's a really good player too. Like
Oh
when
yeah,
you watch him play, sometimes that guy surprises me. Where not surprises me, but just you forget how good he is. And then
he
you
might be
watch
the
him
most
play.
exciting player on the Hurricanes. Like Sebastian Aho is a great player, but like he's not the most flashy player to watch. And you could say the same about their number one defenseman there.
Yeah, they just don't jump off the page and they're all in the system and yeah, it's but I think Canada's in decent hands. Like Point and Sorelli are really, really good, but Sam Bennett and Seth Jarvis, it's not a huge step down. There are a lot of us that thought, right, that Sam Bennett was going to make the team.
Yeah, I think he should have. I would have taken him over Sorelli. And even you look at Point, very talented player, but this has been a kind of a down year for Braden Point. And I
Mhm.
think if he wasn't among the six first players that were named there, I don't know if he makes the team. I think he still would because John Cooper's coaching and he's a very highly thought of player, but he's had a uncharacteristically down year offensively.
Ethan says doesn't matter at all if we run Binnington. Interesting. Logan Thompson was put on or like taken off of the injury list to be able to be sent over. So I don't know that we're going to see Binnington. I think we might if there are some goaltending issues, but I don't think he's going to get the start.
It's hard to say because he's already won over that coaching staff in the Four Nations last year, and he stepped up big when the lights were the brightest.
Yep.
So I
And
could totally
he
see
has
it.
a couple of times in his career, right? It's not the only time. When
Yeah.
the brights have been the lightest, that guy plays his best.
When the brights
So
have been
how
the lightest.
is that what I said?
Yeah.
Ethan, you got to call me on these things.
That's funny.
Can't. And here I am drinking decaffeinated tea. You'd think that there was something more in the cup. There is not, though. Ethan says yes. So you go back to the Eastern Conference, and one of the things that I look at right now, sometimes you don't get beyond the wild card, right? And when you look up the Atlantic Conference, you're like, oh well, someone's third in the Atlantic, and you're not really looking at it because you're looking at the wild card race. But how about the Atlantic Division with Montreal, 72 points, Detroit, 72 points, Buffalo, 70 points. Like with those three teams, and then Boston, of course, with 69, you got four teams separated by 3 points in the standings. I wonder if one of them falls back. Toronto got a couple of big wins. I think that'll be confusing for Leaf management now. If they had gone out on the West Coast and lost those games, you know, they've won 3 in a row now and beating Edmonton and Calgary and Vancouver in their last 3. They've put themselves back into at least a spot. They're 6 points back. They will be 6 points back no matter what because Boston and Toronto don't play tonight. So that'll be an interesting decision. But it's amazing, Tanner. Like Montreal 72, Detroit 72, Buffalo 70, Boston 69. Like there's a big race to not only be in the playoffs, but I mean, you could be as high as second in the Atlantic and get a pretty good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Who of those teams do you think is the most likely to fall out if the Leafs, the Panthers, or the Senators are able to get up.
Oh, I think the Lightning are for sure a lock. I like the Canadians and the Red Wings as well. It's the Sabres, it's hard to bet against them, but you still wonder, like, if one thing goes wrong there, is all that magic
Mhm.
just gonna fade away? And
Right.
Boston, I still haven't bought into them being a playoff team quite yet. So I think Boston would be my number one, and then I'd be looking at Buffalo as well.
Yeah.
I'm also
Statistically, so sorry, just statistically with Boston, right? They've played the most games now at 57. Ottawa will get to 57 tonight, but with Boston with not as many points, Buffalo and Detroit have, or Detroit's played 58. So yeah, they're all just jammed together, and points percentage are actually closer than the standings, which is crazy.
yeah. I also wonder, I know, the trade deadline's a ways away now, but a lot of these teams are only gonna get about 4 games when they come
Mm,
back before the deadline.
yeah,
So, the standings might look pretty similar. I wonder if it's one of these teams that are kinda within striking distance, but decide, "Hey, it's not our year." And we know the way the market is, there's not gonna be a lot of sellers if one of them are like, "Maybe we could get something pretty good here." And
mhm,
they decide to just mail it in on the season and try to sell a little bit and drive the prices up on some of their guys. I think Toronto would make a lot of sense there, especially as a team that doesn't have a lot of futures right now. Just
agreed.
with the amount that they gave up last year for Scott Lawton and Brandon Carlo.
That deal about where the pick is going on the Scott Lawton one, it's the most confusing thing ever in the world. There's like
Yeah.
there's like a page and a half of appendixes to see like if they finish in the bottom 5 or if they don't, and then like at one point they get to actually pick if Boston or Philadelphia gets the pick if a couple of the scenarios work out. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like it's actually just up to the Leafs. If all these scenarios play out, it's like choose your own adventure. There's about 18 different things that can happen. But if one of those scenarios plays out, it just becomes that the Leafs decide. Imagine that. They just decide we want Philadelphia to have the pick and not Boston.
I'm sure that would be the pick
I would
for
agree.
sure. But the point is they still gave up a first and now what's looking to be a pretty good NHL center for Brandon Carlo.
Mhm. But isn't Ottawa in the same category as Toronto? Not a lot of futures. Couple of couple of players that people would certainly like on the Senators.
I agree, but I think Ottawa's core is younger and they have that number one defenseman that the Leafs lack. And they do, I think, still have like some futures, whereas Toronto, I don't even know if they have their first rounder next year.
Yeah, they don't.
So I think Ottawa, it's not a great spot, but I think it's slightly better future wise.
Okay.
But you could say at the same time, the Senators don't have Austin Matthews.
I think more just the decision of guys, it's not our year. And we're gonna have to do something to help out stock the cupboard. Because as you rightly point out, if there's not a lot of sellers and all of a sudden you have a couple of assets, you might be able to get a pretty high price with a whole bunch of teams coming after your players because you're the only team willing to do it.
Yeah, and you look at some guys on Toronto like Oliver Ekman Larson, won a Stanley Cup with the Panthers. He's a hard nosed defenseman that I'm sure a playoff team would like with some retained salary. He's someone you could probably drive the price on a little bit. Maybe they could flip Lawton and get some pieces back. Teams are always after centers. I'm not talking about trading an Austin Matthews, but some of these depth guys that could get the Leafs some futures
No,
back.
but I look at Ottawa, it's the same. Claude Giroux's an incredible piece for very cheap, where I think Ottawa could get quite a bit for him. Only because again, it's gonna cost a team about 500 grand to go out and get Claude Giroux for the rest of the year on their cap. Like, yes,
Yeah.
please. Right? Like,
Yeah. I don't like going there with Giroux. If this
yeah,
game goes a
you
certain way, you might have me there by the end of tonight, but I'd rather him beat his old team and still
yep.
think that this team has a chance to make it because, man, it'd be a shame if Claude Giroux doesn't retire an Ottawa Senator. Yeah, like in the
If
East,
if you
who
had to
else is
bet, no,
selling?
hold
Like,
on, hold on, hold on. If you had to bet right now, you think Claude Giroux is going to retire an Ottawa Senator?
I would lean yes.
I would lean no.
Fair enough.
I just don't. If he wants to win a Stanley Cup, I just don't think he believes it can be here.
That's fair. I've heard things, but
yeah, and maybe it's his wife and just wants to be here. And when I say his wife, it's him. It's their family's decision. Maybe that's true. Maybe the Stanley Cup isn't the most important thing to Claude Giroux. Only he would know that, right? Like, we don't know those things, and we won't know those things. And Ethan's like, he will retire here. Well, okay.
I hope so.
If you know what the family dynamic inside the Giroux household's like, but I'm telling you, when athletes get close to the end and they realize they have a chance to go win, and they've dedicated their whole lives to get to where they are, you just don't want to waste the last year or two where you actually have something to give. I've said that before, but say it again. All right. Well, I'm feeling odd about this game tonight. There's a lot of X factors in this game, like people going on vacation and going to the Olympics, and James Reimer starting, and is Hunter Shepard even there? And like, there's just some weird things about this game right now. What are you feeling?
I'm thinking relatively low scoring because, like you said, I think if one team pulls out, you could see that other one just kind of mail it in for the night and get ready to head on their vacations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a 3-1 win for the Ottawa Senators. I still believe.
Yeah, my gut says that they lose in overtime or a shootout tonight. So I guess I'll stick with that, and I'll say 3-2 Philadelphia in overtime. But I'm hopeful for this team. The one thing that I think you can believe if you're a Sens fan is that they have been playing good hockey. Minus the line change and minus James Reimer not stopping a couple pucks the other night, they have been playing very well and consistently well over the last couple of weeks. So
I think if they play that style of hockey, this is a very beatable team.
I would agree. There's just some weird mitigating factors. Like, Philadelphia absolutely has to win, but guys are going on vacations, and it's just an odd game.
There's another thing I'll add there too, very minor, but Allmark's gone down with the flu now. Does anybody else in that dressing room have it? Is that going to affect their play tonight?
Yeah, but here's my point with that. I'm going to say they don't, because I think most guys think it's a pretty important hockey game. And I would hope that Linus Ullmark, if he could play, would be playing. And as a teammate, I'm just telling you, if I played on that team and I have Linus's Ullmark, his back through all of the things that have happened, he better be close to his deathbed tonight to not play. He better be really sick, because I'd be disappointed as a teammate if that were the case. That's all. We will speak to you after the game. This is overtime. Tanner, you and I will be back, and then it'll be a long Olympic break after the game in Philly tonight. So enjoy the game, and you and I will be back here in about 2.5 hours from now.
All right. Looking forward to it.
This is overtime coming up at 9:30. But this has been your pregame show on Ottawa Sports Now.